Welcome back. Our guests Ahmad Sajo and Femi Odere, and we're looking at the Niger coup, diplomacy or war, and our people are looking into it. But in the meantime, Reverend Dominic has come on the line. Good morning to you, Reverend.
Yeah.
Oh well, I thought Reverend Dominic was there, but clearly not.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, can I come in? Hello?
Reverend, I don't greet you since now. Good morning, sir.
I'll be greeting you. Good morning, Jory. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Please, I have a question to ask.
Sure.
Why is it when there was a queue in Mali? Can you hear me? That is a feedback. Can I go on?
Yes. Why is there a what?
Why is that when there was queue in Mali and Burkina Faso?
Okay.
The response we are getting now from ECOWAS was maybe silent than what is supposed to be. When there was queue in Mali, and Burkina Faso, why is the response of ECOWAS is different than what we are having when it's in Niger Republic, when it's in a backyard one, and it's the time our own president is the head of ECOWAS? Knowing the strategic importance of Niger Republic to us, as we are fighting these insurgents, Burkina Faso is to us a buffer zone. You know that this interest of ISIS there, and the Boko Haram is somewhere at backyard there. If we go to push this thing further, the Niger Republic nation will not look at it as ECOWAS. They will look at it as Nigeria fighting them. Of course, Nigeria is the giant here. If ECOWAS will spend 10 naira in this war, Nigeria will spend 9 naira, both the military and anyhow. So what I'm trying to say, thank God for Mr. President is a listening president. They have listened to the Senate. We're not going to war. The way they have closed the eyes in Mali and Burkina Faso, let that issue also be in the Niger Republic. And number two, Yore, what causes coup is bad governance. If you look at all these nations we're mentioning, there's a unit in Niger Republic. There is no nuclear power. We supply the power. There's crude oil in Nigeria. There's no refinery. We're refining outside. There's gold in Mali. It is mined outside. If you look at the signature of this issue, it's the same. Bad governance. As long as the bad governance in this area, people will come in to upturn governance, democracy. The best form of government is democracy, no matter how bad it is. But as long as human beings are the ones feeling the brunt of it, there are people who is dancing in Niger. Most of them did not pass from a seat. What they need good governance and how it can come, they don't mind, whether it's democracy or military. So my advice as a pastor, that President Tinubu should see how to make Nigeria governable so we can be the giant of Africa with good governance. Because what...
Okay. Well, so thank you very much for calling in, Reverend. Ahmad, let me come to you because talking about the options of, you've already said, and I think it is generally believed that no African really wants war. No West African, no African really wants war. But there are rules, there are principles, and there is the concern that if the authorities trying to remember the general's name, General Abdurrahmani Chiani, if he were to get his way, clearly everybody is worried that that might send a signal to other people. Zero tolerance is zero tolerance. It can't be 2% tolerance. And but I wanted to sort of wind this question onto the northern part of Nigeria and comments that have already been made about our closeness to Niger. Did I say Nigeria? I wanted to say Niger. Our closeness to Niger. And all of the 7 states bordering Niger, 7 northern states bordering Niger, none of them has an appetite for this kind of thing. It's good that Femi Odere was saying that neither is the president and the Senate of the National Assembly. But just looking at the attitude of the 7 states, that are bordering Niger, that have family in Niger, Nigerians also have family in Nigeria. This is really a quandary for us because it's really like this is between brothers, members of the same family in part.
No, I think let us look at these issues very dispassionately. First and foremost, I think ECOWAS did not make any mistake in selecting our president as the leader of the authority of the heads of state. This is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a man that is known to have defended democracy in his own country, a man that has put his life on the line for democracy. So I believe that in selecting him to lead the authority of heads of state, they knew that inherently he would have zero tolerance to any means of constitutional leadership other than democratic constitutional leadership. We commend him for making that very clear and for standing by that all along.
So that you could continue from that point of zero tolerance for any extra constitutional leadership, because Ada in Jos has been waiting. I'll be right back to you, so please forgive me for the interruption, Ahmed. Ada, good morning. You mean all of that was for nothing? I'm so sorry. Please continue. The call dropped. Please continue.
Okay, let me tell you that the Berlin conference that just decided on boundaries for Africa did not consider a lot of things, because of course they were not here. They didn't even know what was happening. Naturally, in all the borders, there are people who belong to families on both sides. I remember very well that when Boko Haram overrun my hometown, we had to run to our families that were living in Cameroon to find refuge. That is not out of question. And I also told you that in the Northeast, when we had this insurgency displacing people, some of them had to find refuge in Niger. And in the Northwest, when the bandits became very notorious, some of our people also had to run and find refuge in Niger. That you cannot remove from the equation. But I think it is pedestrian to begin to change the conversation within the context of our often, looking at issues from our fault lines of region, religion, and ethnicity. I think it's not a regional matter. It's not a matter that, puts people into beginning to decide whether they pay allegiance to Niger or to Nigeria. What we are saying is that our strategic interest as a country, the strategic interest of our people living within the borders of Nigeria and Niger in those 7 states should be taken into consideration in whatever decision we take with respect to restoring constitutional order in Niger. That is not
okay. At this stage, let me bring in Ada, who has now come back. I beg your pardon. At this stage, let me bring Ada, who has actually kindly got back in. Good morning to you, Ada. No, I mean, you got to be kidding me. Just as I was putting Ada on, we lost her again. Well, okay, we're going to continue the conversation in here. So sorry about that, Ada. Twice you tried, and for some reason, it didn't quite work out. I don't know. Okay, if you do call in a third time, Ada, I'll be obliged to interrupt whatever is going on and give you your say. Femi, just as was being said there, you have also said that, look, there might have been a misunderstanding. Okay. Ada has come in.
Hello.
Third time lucky.
Hello.
Third time lucky. Good morning to you, Ada.
Yuri, good morning. It's Ada. I'm calling from Jos Plateau State. Good morning to your guest.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
The main fact that the pupils gave a listening ear to Emir Sanusi, that will show you that their problem is the way ECOWAS behaved, ECOWAS,
well, he's now Khalifa Sanusi. Khalifa Sanusi, the 14th Emir of Kano.
Yes, Emir of Kano, that's what I'm saying now. But the main fact that the cookies gave him a listening ear, that means that they were not happy with the way ECOWAS went about it. ECOWAS was really in a hurry. Even the sanctions is both ways. Even Nigerians say they are feeling the heat. Now look at the trucks all trapped over there, So what I'm trying to say here is that I thank the Senate for, taking that position of not, advising Mr. President, our president, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS, appropriately. So I don't think war should not even be any option at all. We shouldn't allow these Western countries to come in, So all I'm trying to say here is that we should take a lesson from what is happening.
Okay.
The important thing, the bottom line is that there should be good governance, you know. So what is happening there can happen anywhere. So we're not praying for it here, but let there be good governance. All the time, let's not do it for Nigeria. Okay, I get better.
Thank you very much, Ada, and also thank you for your persistence till you finally got in. Femi, back to you then. Governance, as Ada has been saying, is at the foot of everything. People want good governance, and they must have decided in their own way that that is not what they were getting, and so they've gone this way, they have gone. But it must be constitutional, and this is not constitutional, is part of the problem that we're facing. Now, the fact that they've already appointed, the picture I saw of him this morning, talking about the Prime Minister as he's been named, Ali Mahaman Lamine Zaine, he was wearing a suit, so I'm just going to be assuming he's a civilian. All the other active coupists, they were in uniform. Now that we have that, and you know, I think ECOWAS' position, the position of ECOWAS was that there should be a reinstatement of Mr. Mohamed Bazoum as the duly elected, leader in Niger. And I also brought up the matter about, for whatever it is worth, there seems to be a welcoming for this by all news reports. There seem to be people going on the street and demonstrating in support of this coup, which just doesn't fit into the classical mode that ECOWAS is pursuing, which is democracy, votes, and then we shall know the leader. So what Mr. The gentleman, the Prime Minister, as he's been named, Ali Mahaman Lamine Zaine now, I don't know. Quite frankly, I'm a bit confused by the whole thing now. Because, okay, take it from the point of view of ECOWAS was reading the Riot Act to the coupists, you must reinstate, Mr. Bazoum. Take it from that point of view. And how optimistic are you that we can get to a mutually satisfying position between ECOWAS on the one hand and the people who own their own country and who have decided that this is the way they want to go, which we are saying that, guys, no, we're all Democrats here. You can't go that way if you're a Democrat.
You see, Yori, in the case of the ousted Bazoum, whether or not he's going to be replaced or whether or not he's going to be in place, rather, is not going to be up to the ECOWAS, and it should be, though. But unfortunately, since the major powers have actually entered into the fray, what is going to happen to Bazoum is going to be pretty much dependent on what either France does or the United States does, because they both have interest. And to some extent, Iran and some other powers like that. That is one component. Let me also now go to what my brother said about strategic interest. You see, Nigeria is never going to have a futuristic, result-oriented, all-encompassing and cohesive strategic interests if you have different power centers within the country not agreeing to what should be our strategic interest. And this has actually been shown in the way some elements within Nigeria are saying, please don't touch Niger Republic. Whatever happens, these are our brothers and sisters. Yes, we all agree they are your brothers and sisters. But what should be the place of Nigeria in this whole thing as far as that strategic interest is concerned? Nigeria should have a holistic strategic interest that is actually domesticated and functional to Nigerians alone. But when you have all these tendencies saying that the president should do this, the president should not do this, to me, the strategic interest is not going to happen at the end of the day. And that is one of the reasons why Nigeria's foreign policy has been very inefficient, very woolly, and hasn't even done so much to our own so-called strategic interest. So we have to really understand that. And this actually goes back to what I said as to who is actually truly a Nigerian. Where does loyalty lies in terms of what we are now saying in the Niger coup? You see, to me...
Well, let me bring in Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed is in Minna, Niger State. Good morning to you, Mr. Mohammed.
Good morning.
Please go ahead. Mr. Mohammed, you're on. Please go ahead.
Okay, my own here is, why the Mr. President, after the coup, was like issuing threats to Niger, the coup leader, as a president of ECOWAS? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Why will he issue a threat to them? At least as an ECOWAS president, also to advise, okay, at this era, it's not a coup era. Can you get me?
Yes, we can hear you. Is that it, Mr. Mohammed? Why? I think your main question is, why did they include the ultimate sanction, early, I guess? That's what you're saying. Let me bring that point to Ahmad Sajo. Well, there have been many criticisms of, or shall we say, commentaries on how it all went down until now. We have heard experts say that they would have wished that we hadn't put all of our ECOWAS cards on the table at once for people to have a view of them. And I think that's the kind of thing that Mohammed, who called out of Niger State, was saying. How do you see it? The matter that they knew that there is the question of the ultimate sanction of force. People have commented that even if that were there, it might not have been put on the table at the time it was put on the table. What do you think?
Yeah, I think those who are saying this are of the school of thought that says, when you want to negotiate, do not begin with a threat. When you begin with a threat, you create difficulties in negotiations. I think a lot of people hold this as very germane in matters of this nature. But I want to put it very clear that, we have already said, and I listened to the spokesman of the president on Al Jazeera, and he was very clear that diplomacy and negotiation are the key that we're going to use to resolve the impasse, but that no any other option has also been taken off the table. And I agree that when you are negotiating, all options should be on table so that you can at least, the other side knows that these are all the capabilities and these are the options in your hands. But again, some of these options are going to be very difficult, and I said they are going to be very difficult to impose because we're sitting down in ECOWAS with about 3 or so military heads of state sitting down there. And anything you say about the tyranny of a military regime affects them directly. And that is why they are rallying around and saying, look, anything that happens to our brother, we are part of it. Because ECOWAS had allowed a coup d'etat to take place in 1, 2, or 3 places within the ECOWAS countries, and nothing was done to say, look, reverse it. So we're reversing it at the 4th or so grade, and now we're, that has also weakened the resolve of the ECOWAS. The only difference in this case, like I said, is that the leader of ECOWAS as of today is a pro-democracy activist. is a believer in constitutional order, in governance, and is somebody who is ready to go the whole hog to defend democracy. And that is just why we're seeing the difference. But there was an ECOWAS leadership, and then the military took over in Mali, the military took over in Burkina Faso, the military took over in, I think, Guinea, and nothing happened. So ECOWAS is like playing a double standard at this point. From the point of view of those who watched ECOWAS look the other way around when coups took place in other ECOWAS nations. But be that as it may, I agree totally with my brother here, sitting next to me, that we must begin to break down the conversation to the real issues. What are the real issues? The real issues are not about an individual, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to impose himself on Niger or on ECOWAS. It's about ECOWAS as a sub-regional group coming together to say, look, this is what we want to happen, and that as our leader, you must push this forward. But we are also saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the leader of ECOWAS, yes, but he is first and foremost the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria before becoming the leader of ECOWAS. And so his major concern should always, at all times, be the strategic interests of Nigeria first. And it's not difficult to define our strategic interests. We've always defined our strategic interests. In any case, if you knew the history of the Nigerian Civil War, it was on the same basis. When France, did not want to support the Nigeria's unity at that point in time, they sent emissaries. The people of Niger said, look, these are our brothers. We would not allow any harm come to them. And they stood by us. So this concept of nations standing by nations on the basis of some kind of affiliations is not starting today. And it's not only happening between Nigeria and Niger. It has happened between countries all over the world. So we are saying, look, let us look at all the options very clearly. Let us put them on table, and let us look at the ones that serve the interests of the people of Nigeria, the interests of the people of Niger, and the interests of the people of the other countries within the West African sub-region, regional grouping, which is ECOWAS. That is all we are asking for. Diplomacy should serve the interests of the people.
Well, okay.
Strategic engagement should serve the interests of the people.
Sure you can hear me, actually. I'm not even sure if Abuja studio can still hear us. I don't know. Well, I think all that is left now, because Mr. Ahmed Sajo, unintentionally has used up all the time. I tried to butt in, but somehow he couldn't have been hearing me. But this is the time to now thank both gentlemen, Ahmed Sajo, former Commissioner for Information in Adamawa State, and indeed Mr. Femi Odere, journalist and political affairs analyst, and he even worked with Governor Fayemi as his diaspora person in the time. So thank you very much, Mr. Femi Odere and Mr. Ahmed Sajo, for being with us this morning. That's our program today. By tomorrow, we'll be able to know, following the meetings of the head of government that are going to be meeting today in Abuja, where exactly we are. Indeed, it won't even be tomorrow. As the day progresses, TVC News will be all over it, and you'll be getting a per second account. I'm Yori Fulani. Bye-bye for now.